In this video, I will explain what Jesse's routes are, and then I'll show you different examples of how to use them. A route is used to tell Jesse where to trade, what to trade, in which time frame, and using which strategy. I'll show you a basic example in a second, and then I'll show you how to go further by using multiple symbols and time frames inside the same strategy. Let's get started. I will dive into strategy development in one of the upcoming videos, but in this one I still need a simple strategy to show you how to use routes. So I'm gonna start by writing a golden cross strategy, which is like the hello world of algo trading. I don't want to do short selling here, so I'll just remove the shoot short and go short methods. I'll begin by defining two moving averages. Whenever the one with the shorter period crosses the longer one, we open a long position. The period for the short EMA is going to be 21, and for the longer one, I'll use 50. And to define the cross, I'll say return true whenever the short EMA is bigger than the long EMA. Since I'll be using a market order for entering my trades, the value of should cancel entry doesn't really matter, but I'll return true just because it's good practice. As for my entry order, I want to use all the existing balance in my account, and for the entry price, I want to use the current price. In other words, I want to use a market order. So I'll say quantity equals utils dot size to quantity. The first parameter is going to be my current balance. The second one will be the entry price. Actually, let's define the entry price as a separate variable and use it here. Now I can define the buy order by saying self.buy equals quantity, comma, entry price. As for exiting my positions, I want to do it whenever the opposite of my entry rule happens. First, I'll define the update position method. Then I will copy the code for my moving averages, paste it here, and I'll say if the short EMA is smaller than the long EMA, liquidate my position. Alright, now I have a basic strategy. Let's say I want to backtest this strategy on Binance Spot and the symbol of BTC USDT using the 15 minutes time frame. And the strategy is going to be the example strategy, which is what we just defined. Now let's head to the backtesting page and see how we can define the route for it. Inside the route section, you will always find at least one existing route. That's because it is the minimum requirement. So I can just modify the existing one. For the exchange, I will choose Binance Spot. The symbol is already BTC USDT, but even if it wasn't, I could enter it here. And the time frame will be 15 minutes. And the strategy is already selected because there's only one strategy in my current directory. And that's a basic route. Now I could just start a backtest by selecting the duration first and pressing the start button. You can also trade multiple symbols at the same time, whether with the same strategy or different ones. For example, let's say I want to trade the same strategy for both BTC USDT and ETH USDT. I already have the first route for BTC. Now I have to create another trading route for ETH USDT. The time frame could be anything, but I still want the 15 minutes. And the strategy could also be anything, but in this case I only have one strategy and it should work fine for both of them. Instead of adding a new trading route, I could just duplicate the existing one and change the symbol. So let's delete this one. And this time I'll duplicate the existing one and enter the symbol to be ETH USDT. And now the time frame, exchange, and strategy are all the same as the first route. One of the cool features of Jesse is that you're not limited to using one time frame only. You can use multiple of them, and you don't even have to worry about the look-ahead bias either. This is the chart of BTC USDT on the 15 minutes time frame, which is what we were trading on. I also added the indicators that we had inside our strategy, which are the EMAs with the periods of 21 and 50. Our entry rule was to open a long position whenever the short EMA crosses the long EMA. In other words, whenever the blue line goes above the green line. In some cases, like in this one, we're going to face false breakouts. The blue line is above the green line, but it's so fresh that it probably wasn't a good idea to open a position just yet. A simple way for filtering out these types of false breakouts is by simply using a bigger time frame for determining the bigger trend of the market. The right chart is the Bitcoin price in the hourly time frame, and the left one is the one with the 15 minutes, which is what we were trading on. As you can see here, even though the crossover happened on the 15 minutes time frame, the right chart, which is the hourly time frame, is not showing an uptrend. So if we could use the hourly time frame as some kind of filtering indicator, this would not have happened. So we can say we have a short-term and a long-term trend. So I'll define a new property called short trend, and I'll copy and paste from what we had earlier, except that now instead of returning true, I will return 1 for an uptrend and -1 for any other situation. And I'll modify what we had before to use this new property. I'll also use it for exiting trades. Alright, now that we have the trend for the left chart, which is the 15 minutes time frame, I need to define the code for the hourly time frame, which is the right chart. I'm gonna copy the short trend, paste it here, and rename it into long trend. The difference is of course about the candles. Before I was passing them by using the self.candles property, which gives me the candles for the current trading time frame, which in our case is 15 minutes. To get them for the hourly time frame, I need to specifically ask for them. To do that, I'll be using the getCandles method. The first parameter is the exchange, which I will pass in the current exchange. As for symbol, I will pass in the current trading symbol, which is BTC USDT. And as for the time frame, instead of passing it as self.timeframe, which gives me the current trading time frame, I will specifically ask for the hourly time frame. And then I will repeat this for the long EMA as well, and we should be good. So once again, the only difference between long trend and short trend is the candles. For the short trend, I'm using self.candles, which gives me candles for the current trading time frame and symbol, which in this case is 15 minutes and BTC USDT. And for the long trend, I'm using getCandles, which allows me to specifically ask for a certain time frame and symbol. In this case, I'm asking for the hourly time frame. Now that I have this new indicator ready, I can use it inside my entry rule. So inside my shoot-long method, I'm gonna add and self.longtrend equals 1. Alright, let's run another backtest. And this time I should get an error saying that the below route is missing from my routes. That's because even though we are using the hourly time frame inside our strategy, we didn't tell Jesse about it. To do that, I'll have to add an extra route, which is identical to a trading route with only one difference. It doesn't accept any strategy. For our case, I have to choose the same exchange, which is Binance Spot, and the symbol will again be BTC USDT, but the time frame has to be the hourly time frame. And again, there is no strategy for an extra route. Now if I run the backtest again, this time it should go through. Let's say we were to backtest our strategy for ETH USDT instead of BTC. In this case, looking at the chart of Ethereum alone is probably not the best idea. It is a known fact that the BTC price moves the whole crypto market, so it's probably a good idea to use this data as some kind of confirmation before entering trades. I'm gonna copy the code for short trend, paste it, and rename it into BTC short trend. And just like before, I have to replace self.candles with self.getCandles, which allows me to specifically pass in the exchange, the symbol, which in this case, instead of passing self.symbol, I will pass in BTC USDT, and then the time frame, which in this case, I want it to be my trading time frame, so I just pass it by self.timeframe. And I'll do the same for this variable. And inside the shoot-long method, I will add and self.btc short trend equals 1. And if I run the backtest again, I should get an error saying that the route for BTC USDT is missing. That's because I've only told Jesse about the routes for ETH USDT. So now I have to define a new one for BTC USDT. That is going to be an extra route with the time frame of 15 minutes, which is my trading time frame, and the symbol will be BTC USDT. Now if I run it again, it should work. Alright, that's it. In the next video, we're gonna talk about how to import candles and explain the concept of warm-up candles in Jessie.